had such passion in the times that we've seen you talking. How do you just keep that passion, that level up all the time? I know that may be who you are, but just season in, season out when you're dealing with the players.
That's a great question. I think for me, I enjoy coaching football. I was fortunate enough to do a couple of other things in life, with criminal justice and things like that. And I really feel like me being able to influence, develop, and just kind of teach some life values is really important to me. And I've kind of found my groove in college football and with these players being able to do that today to day. And I think about the guys that have influenced me as been coaches. So I really feel fortunate to be in this position.
How different of a fall is it when you have running backs who haven't been proven yet at the Big Ten level?
It's huge. I think you hit a couple things. I think guys that are unproven. I think right now, if we talk about the 8 guys in the room, we got 14 reps of offense between all 8 for Michigan State. And, it just puts a higher level of urgency on the detail. I say a higher level of urgency, but at the same time, having to scale back for some of it to level 1, level 2. And then some of these guys haven't experienced the fall camp. I think about Mekhi and Brandon experience the fall camp where it's a true competition where I'm trying to take the next step. I think about Jace Clarizio, where this is his first college fall camp, just like Zion Gist. So these guys are kind of learning, but at the same time, they're in the middle of it, so we need them to learn at an urgent pace as well.
It's a position that people say you can play young, but still you got to be able to pass protect and all that stuff. So what's the balance between talent and being able to do all the things you have to do? Like what are you trying to get out of this fall camp?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And this is something you deal with young running backs, because young running backs can say, well, I'm the most athletic, I'm the fastest, and some of that, a lot of times they're right. But at the same time, if you're not the best football player or the best running back that we need you to be in all 3 phases of the game, catching the ball, being able to block, and running the ball, it's going to be hard for you to get substantial reps out there. So for these young guys, going back to what you're saying is having them understand what is my process as far as the detail. I think about our running back pre-snap cycle. What's my alignment? What's my assignment? And that changes based if it's in the run game or in the pass game, but they have to go through that process play after play after play, and getting them to withstand that kind of discipline and that kind of durability over the course of a practice, but over the course of a practice during the middle of fall camp.
How much is that? You mentioned about the young guys, having to kind of bide their time in a lot of ways and learn. How much has that played in across college football to so much movement at that position in the portal? And how do you, stem that and develop your own guys?
Yeah. I'm making sure I understand your question. I guess you're saying like with running backs moving from school to school?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the same process, because you think about a veteran guy, I think about Elijah Tolliver, who came here from Sac State, but he came here in the springtime. And it still is going to come down to him being able to be detailed from his alignment to his assignment in the run game and pass game. Now, the thing that you have with an older guy like Elijah, you think about K-Ron last year, even Nate, was a transfer in here. Those guys have kind of been through fall camp. They've been through position meetings at the college level. So you do expect a little more urgency and a little more understanding of what the process takes for me to get out there on the field. Depending on the situation, some guys leave because they weren't happy where they're at. Some guys are leaving because, it's a better opportunity here at Michigan State if that's the case. So hopefully they come in with eyes wide open, and it's a new breath of life of taking care of business.
I was wondering about the flip side of that as well. As like you mentioned, guys that it seems like while there's a lot of movement in the Power 5 conferences or Power 4, whatever it is, there's also a lot of guys at that position then moving up a level, whether it be,
oh, okay, I got you.
You know what I mean? Like whether it be to try and maximize their exposure to get to the next level. I mean, how much is the late career development of running backs maybe play into some of that movement? Whereas guys get older, all the things that you're talking about, they don't get.
I got you. I guess if I'm hearing your question correctly, I guess if you take a guy that is in, the FCS, for instance, or the MAC, and you watch them develop. Maybe they weren't where they needed to be, when they're coming out of high school, if you're talking about the Big Ten level for Michigan State, and then they develop over the course of their time. That's really old school college football, right? Those are the freshmen you were taking out of high school in the Big Ten, where you had more time to develop and more time to get these guys ready, and you kept them for 3 years. But now we get the opportunity with things like the transfer portal to get those guys. Now you actually have a better product because, they've grown, they've been in weight rooms, they've been in meeting rooms, they've matured, and now the urgency is now we're just getting them in the playbook, almost like the NFL model, where it's not really based on fundamentals and things like that. It's like, can this guy get dialed in, locked into the program, and pick up on the scheme and how you need them to operate.
Can you take us
Exactly.
through?
Yep.
Can you take us through your room a little bit, guy by guy, and sort of where they are and what you're seeing in it?
Yeah. So we got, Chris Williams is a local guy. He's, working to take the next step, continuing to show up and work hard. Jax McCaig is a kid, also a local kid, working hard. I think the one thing we've been trying to do is get him more ingrained in special teams and some other things there. Zion Gist is a kid from Illinois, and, he came in as a early enrollee last January. He's progressed nicely. I think, just like any freshman, all the stuff we're talking about, we're hoping that he continues to battle through. This was a long week. We got 2 more days left in it, but battle through the rigors of fall camp and being able to collect the playbook and execute it at a high level. Darren Jones is a kid from Orchard Lake St. Mary's, who we've been really pleased with. I think he has the chance, as far as development, to be a really special player. You watch him run the ball in individual, he gets some reps here and there, and it's been exciting to watch him move. Starting with Jace Clarizio. Jace has really taken a step from where he was at in January to where he is now, put on some good poundage. I think he's starting to understand the rigors of college football when it comes to off the field academics, how you need to operate in the meeting room, and taking what happens in the meeting room and taking it out there on the football field. Let's be honest, he's a true freshman, and he's going to make mistakes and things are going to come up. But I've had that before. But I'm excited. It's a high ceiling for that kid from the athletic standpoint. Now it's just getting into the day-to-day of being the best football player. Elijah Tautalifer, who we've been talking about, transfer from Sac State, who came here in January. He's picking up the playbook. I think the one thing with him, we have to continue to see is, this is Big Ten football. And, I think he athletically fits in there, but from where he was at, just kind of being the guy at Sac State, being able to push through and take that next step, he's done that nicely. But now it's continuous through the end of fall camp as we work into the first week, getting ready for Western Michigan. Brandon Tullis, he's been here. He's one of the guys that had 7 carries last year. He's developed into a good-looking running back. But at the same time, he had 7 carries last year. I think his strong suit, if he continues to run behind his pads like he has so far this fall, he has a chance to be special. I think the other thing with him is, you get a big back like that, in some of the pass protection stuff and things like that. If he stays dialed in there, he's going to be an exciting player. He is hard to tackle. Kai Frazier, who's probably been one of the more consistent guys, as a freshman since up to this point. He's catching the ball well, he's running the ball well. I think, those 3, I'm talking about Brandon, Elijah, and Makai, are taking that leadership role in our room, trying to lead those younger guys, trying to kind of push the effort level when we're talking about individuals staying locked in the evening time when we do those walkthroughs. I think we have a solid group, that we have some production in there, but now you think about cars, I think I've said this before, think about those cars driving, 4 lanes, everybody's driving next to each other, and you're behind them and you're mad because you're trying to get around. We need somebody to press the gas and accelerate and move on to the fast lane. So that's what fall camp is for, and that's what I'm excited to see.
What are those areas that?
Is it your depth chart in reverse order then?
No, I just was talking about the guys in my mind.
I'm just joking. So how important is Saturday's first scrimmage as just far as,
This is going to be big. I think, for not only just for the running backs, for the team in general. We get a chance to go out there and, we've had a period where we were able to kind of get tackled and get hit. But you talk about the course of a scrimmage and you think about where the room is at, who's going to be able to break through the tackles when, is it the tight end or somebody up front misses a block? Who's going to be the guy that is on his track, picking up protection? Who's going to catch the ball when we need you to catch that ball on third down in a scrimmage setting? Because this is going to be the closest we're going to get these next two scrimmages to the game day, getting ready for the season. So this is huge, and that's why this week was so big for me, and seeing, 6 days of, I wish it would have been a little bit hotter, but 6 days of practice and big install still, because next week we'll still be installing, but it won't be as big. But who can collect that going into this first scrimmage and be able to operate at a high level?
Kind of touched on that.
Higher
I'll
level
come back to you.
of trust with the O-line and sort of vice versa, and just how's that group doing? There's been a lot of talk about the O-line sort of needing to take a step and being in tandem with you guys. Do you notice your guys having a closer relationship or more trust, I guess, there with what they're seeing and whatnot?
Yeah, I think it goes up and down because, it's trust from the running backs, and then it's trust from the O-line that the running backs are going to do what they need to do as well. And it's that thing about working together in pass protection. Are we getting the calls? Are the running backs understanding the calls? Obviously, that's my job to make sure that it's locked in there. I think the cohesion between the offense, if you're talking about that group of O-line and running backs, is still kind of getting itself in order. Do I feel like we're at a place where we got production out of the O-line room and the running back room? Yes, I think we still have a ways to go, but that's fall camp.
I wanted to ask about, when you talk about hitting the accelerator with the 5 cars on the highway, what are the things that guys can do to sort of hit the gas, and what's going to differentiate them in this battle?
I think the main thing is, everybody wants to say perfect execution. I think we want to have consistent execution. And the guy that can consistently execute in the phases that we look at, first of all, running the ball, and then protection, those are the guys that are going to, really take that step. The thing that I feel that in my mind, and probably I'm stubborn about it too, takes a big step back for me is when guys make mistakes on things that, in my mind, are pretty easy. Because that means that's just a lack of focus in my book. And that's what we need over the course of a season, over the course of a competition. You got to be able to focus. And when you're in this running back competition, your consistency is based on how deliberately you can stay focused day after day. And it doesn't start when you hit the practice field. It starts when you come into that meeting room, to the walkthrough to the practice field. And that's really what I'm looking at, that consistent execution over the course of fall camp.
It kind of sounds like you have so many young guys, redshirt freshmen that are going to be in this sort of competition, this battle. It kind of sounds like you need them to be mature beyond their years, and I'm curious how that sort of develops. When you talk about consistency, you talk about not making mistakes.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is being, and I use this word hard, but having a standard in your room. Mm-hmm. Because the standard can't be, well, I know you're young and you got to still figure it out. No, this is what we need done, and if you can't get it done right now, let's get the next guy in to see if he can get it done consistently. And just the understanding of the urgency we have as an offense, the urgency we have as a team, for the Michigan State faithful, Spartan Nation, to make sure we need you to go out there and prepare and act like you're ready to play football at this level. So I think we kind of take the guardrails off of these guys being young. We expect a lot out of you. Coaches, we do expect a lot out of you. You signed up for this, and that's the responsibility you have, is being able to take the coaching, go out there and execute it at a high level.
Do you know when you know it? Like, are there times you get into games and the person who's third on the depth chart gets a chance, and that's something they're a gamer and there's something different? Or do you usually know it by the end of practice?
Yeah, I think practice, you'll know in practice. I think about the young guys playing, and I've been fortunate enough to coach some guys that were young backs that played. And it's the guys that, even if they're not 100% sure in what they're doing, they go full speed. It's the guys that, if they do make a mistake, it doesn't anchor them to where they can't go on to the next play. And then it's the guys that still aren't afraid to ask questions, even though it's something from install 1 or install 2, because they're so interested in scratching that itch of getting it right and being able to go out there and execute that competitor mindset where, yeah, I might take a couple licks, but I'm still able to stand up and execute the next play. And those guys, they have a moxie about them, day after day.
Do you have a guy with a moxie?
No, not yet.
All those things,
Good question.
all those things
Your
you
goal
talked
to have a
about.
couple of guys separate?
I'm sorry?
Your goal to have a couple of guys separate?
Yes, for sure. Yes. You know, we are going to be a multi-back system. We are going to be a system that, you know, we want to make sure we get a couple guys, you know, reps, because we're not trying to grind one guy into the ground. We're trying to wear defenses out in the second half. We're trying to keep these guys healthy. We're trying to hold on to the ball. We're trying to be explosive, be efficient, protect the quarterback. So we're going to need a couple guys to go out there and play.
All those things in the portal era that you want out of a running back, have you found it easier to mold a play from the ground up with guys coming into your system fresh out of high school versus the transfers coming in? I mean, is there a, like, what's the balance, I guess, between developing your own guy and a transfer guy?
I think the balance, I think, you know, obviously molding your own clay is always good, you know, if it's the right clay. But I think the balance is just finding a guy that, if you're going to get a guy from the portal that wants to come in and learn and still open to new coaching styles and wants to continue to build on, you know, their fundamentals and taking the next step and be a part of something that's pretty cool here at Michigan State. When you say the balance between them, I think that's on us from a recruiting standpoint and a personnel department to pick the guys that are the best fit, because you can get a kid out of high school, and if he's not into any of those things I just talked about, it's going to be a bad match anyway.
You probably could have got another running back out of the portal after spring football. What gave you the confidence with the guys that you had that you're going to get what you needed this year?
You know, just watching those guys go through spring ball, even with what we're saying, needing somebody to kind of take the next step. But watching those guys go through spring ball, I do really feel like we have talent in this room, and what you don't want to continue to do, and especially in this portal era, is continue to push down your talent and basically skip in line, because you're not really developing, and then you end up into the cycle where you constantly have to go to the portal. Because now, I mean, in today's day and age, let's be honest, if a guy feels like, well, if I'm always just gonna get skipped in front of him, why would I stay here at Michigan State? But there's two sides to it, and I think seeing what we saw out of spring ball, I felt comfortable that if we just continue to push these guys, they will take the next step, and I believe that's where we're at right now.
What's kicking punt return looking for you right now?
It's going good. I mean, overall, between me and Coach Wilt, the special teams, I think the one thing we do have coming out of last year is it's the second year they're hearing the same voices. You know, a lot of the techniques, the scheme that we're talking about, the guys understand, especially when I'm talking about our drills and skill work to help take the next step to get to the scheme. So it's going to be good.
You got a couple guys who feel like have that necessary sort of juice, though, and skill set that could
I
be
think
effective
so.
at those spots?
I think so. As of right now, I feel pretty good. But obviously, we'll have a better idea once we kind of get going with the season.
Curious about Bryson, too. The freshman, when
Yeah.
he came in, there was sort of talk about maybe doing a little hybrid stuff.
Yeah,
Does he
yeah.
work with you at all? Or is he just
I mean, as far as with us, he's kind of just been hanging out, paying attention, but he's been mostly with the receiver room, just kind of making sure we get his feet in the ground there. So that's where he's been.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.